You are listening to From Ring to Veil.
I'm Shannon.
And I'm Kim.
And we are your wedding planning gurus.
We take the stress out
and put the fun back into wedding planning. Alternative engagement rings and incorporating family heirloom jewelry. Episode number 194.
Welcome back. Take a minute and subscribe to the podcast if you have not already. Take another minute and join our Facebook group. It's called From Ring to Veil Wedding Planning Community. Answer the 2 questions. We'll let you in.
And if you're getting married in the Seattle metro area, check out our wedding planning resource guide for the Seattle area. It has awesome vendors in it. It's available on Amazon. You can find it at fromringtoveil.com/RG paperback or fromringtoveil.com/RG Kindle, or you can search on Amazon for Seattle wedding planning and it'll pop right up there.
So today we have something a little special for you. We have Anna Sheffield on, and she is talking with us about engagement rings, alternative engagement rings, and incorporating your family heirloom jewelry into your wedding day. She has a really distinctive approach to jewelry design. She has a fine art sculpture training and years spent in New York working on different brands. She has an eclectic background, is what I'm trying to say.
She's committed to a philosophy of sustainable and ethical practices in the fine jewelry market.
And you will learn a whole lot more about Anna as we talk to her through this episode. Thank you, Anna, for joining us today.
I'm so happy to be here.
Would you please start out by giving us a little bit of your background and how you became the jewelry designer that you are now?
Well, it's kind of a lovely story of happy accidents, actually.
Nice.
I know, right? I love when those things work out. I started out in sculpture, actually. I was studying fine art. And after trying a few different things, I landed myself in the sculpture department of a fine arts college. And I was loving it and making things and just really reveling in all the different techniques and materials. And one of the classes that I took was a jewelry class. So I kind of experimented with making jewelry, but more got into making sculpture with those sort of techniques and materials. So when I graduated, I was very much focused on making art and sculpture, and I was doing welding and blacksmithing and little tiny sculptures and big sculptures. And I started playing with jewelry again after I graduated in my studio, when I would just get stuck on an idea, or if I was working on a really big project that didn't feel like I was, chipping away at something every day, those projects that are so massive that you just don't feel like you've accomplished anything.
Right.
You kind of need a pep talk for yourself. I would sort of sit down and make a piece of jewelry sometimes if I just wanted to kind of work something out and just get my brain off of the other kind of making and manifesting. And then sometimes I would wear those pieces, or I would make them as gifts for other people. And then it kind of led me into actually making jewelry as a path for my creativity. And just little by little, I would sort of wear things, and then I'd go into a cute store and I'd say, "You guys should have my jewelry." It was so much easier than having an art exhibit and having to talk about these deep places where your work comes from and your impetus and all that stuff. And so it was so easy to do jewelry in contrast to that. So I just started selling it in a few different stores, and little by little, it's just grown over the years. It's going almost 20 years since I started making jewelry, actually.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah. So you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think so. If not, I kind of make it up as I go along.
Sometimes you just have to do that, right?
Yeah, if you don't know, just try. That's my motto.
We're talking about engagement rings and incorporating family heirloom jewelry into your wedding and your ceremony. What made you pick ceremonial jewelry?
It was I feel like it kind of picked me, which is very lucky for me because I'm a Leo also. I very much love. But I started making rings in my fine jewelry line. So I first had a brand called Bing Bang. That was my initial experiments in jewelry making. And then around 2008, I launched my own like namesake line. And at the time, I was making a lot of really cool, weird, sort of non-traditional fine jewelry. And in the collection was a ring that looked like a solitaire, but instead of a diamond in the main setting, it was actually a metal casting of a diamond. And then so it looked like all metal from the top, and then there was like a little diamond hidden inside. So if you had the ring on, it would be touching your finger.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of like my, like, trompe l'oeil, like kind of Dada punk rock approach to making a ring, and kind of, more like art, thoughtful, like conceptual. So that was like one of the first rings I made in my brand. And over time, I had people, send me stories and tell me how, this is before Instagram, they would tell me how they got engaged with that ring and how much they love it. Or, people would ask for it for like a promise ring, or even for like an anniversary gift, or because they thought it was cool. And it was like, wow, I'm so excited that this is like appealing to people on this level. It's like, it really is like what it was meant to be, which is just like a really iconic symbol of love, but with kind of changing the materials around and like being, sort of upending those conventions. And little by little, more people would come to me and ask me to make engagement rings, just customize things, sketch something or make something with a family heirloom. And over time, I saw like how happy that made people, and I really was enjoying it on a creative and personal level. So I launched the category of like bridal or engagement, wedding, commitment, ceremonial, all those good words. I launched that as a category in 2011. So in doing that, I came to, I have been over these now years working with so many people who bring in heirlooms to make into new engagement rings, or to make into something special to wear on the wedding day. And I think it's just, there's something so incredible about that also, the stories and the provenance. So it's really an honor.
I think that's so awesome to incorporate the heirloom jewelry, because sure, you could wear your grandmother's ring, but taking your grandmother's ring and making it into something even more special. How awesome is that?
Yeah, and personalizing it, and or bringing it up to date.
Right.
Sometimes I've had, something from his family and something from her family, and you make a ring that combines those two.
Oh, yeah.
It's just such a like gorgeous, cosmic, wonderful storytelling. And then, you think this is an heirloom that's going to get passed down through your family. So how magical that, you're kind of combining these elements, or taking a ring and making, making an engagement, and then taking the little diamonds and making a pair of earrings for the wedding day ceremony. So yeah, it's like the sky's the limit. It's like really amazing.
What are your favorite things to work with?
Materials,
Stones, whatever it is that you love.
Well, I mean, I love working in terms of when I used to actually sit down and make things. I loved working with gold. It's a really amazing material to work with, very alchemical and magical. And I feel the same way about pretty much every single gemstone. So you should see my collection. Between the cut gemstones and the crystals that are all over my house, my office, my purse. But yeah, I like things that have a sort of an imprint of the nature in them. So like in the beginning, I was very much attracted to champagne diamonds as opposed to white, because I love the idea that just there was like some other element present at the time, that this, incredible alchemy was taking place, and it made this diamond, instead of white, like a beautiful hue that's like kind of, like it could be kind of cream soda even. And I've since kind of moved into loving gray diamonds and natural black diamonds, because they too carry that sort of fingerprint of nature that was whatever was present when they were made. And they're all a little unique, which I think is magical. But I love everything. I'm definitely not picky. I love agates, and I love moonstones, and we work a lot with moonstones in our jewelry, and morganite, which is in the same family as emerald. It's a beryl, but it's just like a pinky color instead of a green color. And we work with what else? Oh my goodness, so many good things. All the different quartzes. Again, things that aren't necessarily like perfect and pretty, and then antique diamonds, which are kind of amazing because They have the sort of the hand of the person that cut them is present and visible in the inside the faceting of the stone. But I also love a good solid 3-carat white emerald cut, perfect, amazing diamond too.
Well, yes, of course.
Those come across my desk sometimes.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So can you explain a little bit more about the black and gray diamonds? Because I don't think they're super popular at this point. So I'm thinking that maybe even some of our listeners have no idea that there are black and gray diamonds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's kind of magical. So the way I describe it is the diamond is actually carbon. So it's the same material actually as graphite that you would use in a pencil. Just graphite is much softer, so the molecular structure is slightly different, but the material composition is the same. So you remember in Superman when he like squeezes the piece of coal and then there's like a diamond inside?
Yes.
So that really what's happening is inside the earth, like the heat and the pressure, we're changing these carbon atoms and making them into diamonds, which are an incredibly hard material and a very prismatic and multifaceted like mineral structure. So like I said before, like as the diamonds were being formed, there are other minerals or gases present, like thinking of like the magma in the center of the earth, like, you know, or like a comet hurling through space. It's all of this crazy stuff is happening, and not all the crystals are formed as perfectly clear white crystals. Some of them are formed with color, so like really rare, like canary diamonds are a bright yellow. There are blue diamonds, like the Hope diamond. But then you also have down that spectrum, like off-white, which is, you know, how things are graded and kind of are attributed to different like dollar values. You know, certain attributes make something more expensive than another thing. So when you get to like black diamonds, what you're seeing really is a carbon crystal, which is the diamond, with just a denser array of carbon. So it actually is like, it can be all the way from like speckled black or like very hazy gray, like looking at a cloudy sky, all the way down to something that's just purely opaque. And it's still very shiny on the surface, which is beautiful because, you know, diamonds are very shiny and sparkly. But when they're opaque, you're not getting all that light refraction like you know, when you have a crystal and you hold it up to the window and you see rainbows all over your house. Like a little tiny diamond in a ring will do that if you hold it in the sunlight. Like a clear diamond or a champagne diamond, anything that has like that, that's translucent will like reflect light. But black diamonds are very much just shining off of the surface. So they're unique and beautiful, and they're quite rare. And the naturally black ones are very, very rare. So most of the black diamonds that are used in jewelry now would be more of a gray material that's heated to make it more overall opaque.
That is so cool. I've never seen one personally up close or anything like that, but I would love to.
Oh, you have to come visit us. I mean, we have a store on both coasts. You're in the middle, so hopefully you can get to one or the other.
Right. Okay, so let's talk about our brides and how they can incorporate some of these non-traditional rings or looks into their jewelry, or how they can incorporate the heirloom jewelry into their wedding day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we've often made pieces for wedding day from heirlooms because, you know, there's something old, something borrowed, something old,
right.
That little thing, that cute little rhyme. So I think that the heirloom diamonds, you know, kind of constitute the old, which is beautiful, carrying on tradition. So I've made, you know, like I said before, I made earrings out of like little side stones, or I've taken like mother's earrings and like remade them into something new, like instead of a stud, make it into like a delicate drop, maybe incorporating rose gold if that's like a color that maybe, you know, the heirloom jewelry that you have might be in white gold, but you really love rose gold or yellow gold. So you can kind of like reinvent at the same time the materials when you're reusing the stones. And then, of course, we make a lot of something blues because, that's kind of a special and wonderful thing to wear on your wedding day. So we've gotten to do quite a few actually, heirloom pieces where, a family member actually had a sapphire to pass along, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So you're covering two bases there, something old and something blue. And yeah, I've made pendants. I have a few things in the collection that are, like styles that we make in the collection that are very adaptable. But I also do like fully custom jewelry. So I can sit down with someone with their stones, like looking at a picture of their wedding dress or talking about something that they love. If they love flowers, or if they like really simple architectural jewelry, or if they want, something that feels Victorian, like I can sit down and kind of work with them and be what I call the stone whisperer, and like find out what that little piece of amazingness wants to become. And it's really fun to like sit and draw different ideas when you're working with someone and come up with like the perfect thing.
So what I'm hearing is that they would probably bring the jewelry in and then have a discussion about what you want to do with it and what would be best to do with that.
Yes, absolutely. Because sometimes, you're going to have to take, generally speaking, the stones that come in are still set in the jewelry that they originated in. And it's not terribly often that people just come with a loose diamond or a loose sapphire. Usually it's like, this is my grandmother's ring. This is like my mother's tennis bracelet she doesn't wear anymore, but it was an anniversary gift from my dad, or, things like that. And instead of like just, taking everything all apart, you kind of look at what you have and talk about what your ideal piece of jewelry would be. Like if you want a necklace, then maybe you would just use like, one or three little stones, or one big stone, or, something. If you want earrings, obviously you need two of something that looks similar, unless you really want to design something asymmetrical. So it kind of depends on what you have, and like on how much you want to keep it, like as it is. Like if you just want to take, one stone out and maybe even keep that setting, but replace it with a different stone for future, you can do that too. So yeah, usually we just have people come in and make an appointment, and they come in with all of the pieces that they have, or we work, obviously, it's a modern age, so we work with people through Skype and email, and people can send pictures, and we can do video calls and sort of, assess at least initial ideas. What can come from just having a phone call, and then we kind of move forward from there.
How creative. I just love this. I'm a creative person too, so I'm like, I bet you can come up with some really, really good ideas just by sitting down and looking at the jewelry that they have and maybe the loose stones that they have, and come up with some really fun ideas.
Yeah, because sometimes it's like the piece might be something really amazing and you kind of want to honor that, like the original piece. Maybe you want to, honor its kind of deco provenance, and it's kind of vibe. Or sometimes you really want to look at the person and they're like, I love this, but I would never wear it. I'm much more into, simple things. And it's like, okay, great. Now we're going to take this crazy 1980s, like, weird, wonderful thing and like kind of boil it down and distill it and just do something totally else with these pieces. But that is really fun, and it is really nice to be able to commune with people around these pieces and hear the stories, and a lot of the ideas come from that interaction, which is really wonderful.
Okay, let's get into some of your tips. So what are some of your tips for selecting jewelry to wear on the wedding day, to the ceremony, and maybe even if you're changing to the reception?
Definitely. I mean, I feel like necklaces are so beautiful for the ceremony. I mean, oftentimes you'll have a gown that comes up and has a lot of decor on the top. But for a more spare, like, something that's just sort of bustier or straight across, like you could do a really nice, simple pendant. And it's a beautiful opportunity to introduce the blue if you like that, or if you want something more moody. We do a lot of wedding day jewelry with like moonstones and morganites because they're soft, pretty colors. But also, I think it depends a lot on the hair. So, clearly a lot of women will wear veils, some will wear
Mm-hmm.
their hair up, some will wear their hair down. So earrings can be great if you want to have hair up, like a nice little button or a small like drop is really beautiful because it gives you a little bit of movement. And it's kind of a nice addition, and it can complement the dress and the veil. It doesn't have to compete. So the dainty jewelry, I think, is usually the way to go. But most often we're making earrings and necklaces for people in those moments because it's, you got a lot of focus going on that ring finger that day. So it's nice to, maybe to have something complimentary. If you're getting a black diamond engagement ring, maybe you want to wear like a small black diamond stud, or if you have like, leftover little round diamonds from something that was an heirloom, maybe you want to make like a little cluster, like pendant. So you just have a little tiny sparkle on the necklace. And, those are things that could go into the night, depending if you change your hairstyle and change into something more danceable. Or, sometimes it is nice to take off a little tiny pendant and just put on a big earring because you're, in a different space. And the photos are going to look different. And, so many pictures of you from, at least from the waist up, because everybody wants to see, what you're wearing and how that big your smile is. So, I think that oftentimes the earrings and necklace are where it's at for the wedding ceremony.
Okay, that's nice. And I've heard you say you don't want to compete, so you want to complement. How do you know if you're starting to compete with your clothing and your veil?
Well, I think it's about, like with a veil, you would definitely go with, I think, a much smaller earring so that you just don't have, like compositionally speaking, like you don't have too many things too near each other. If you already have like a veil and that's, obviously coming down around your ears or behind your shoulders, it's kind of nice to have like something small on the ear. But then, like I mentioned before, if your hair is down or sweep to one side, like it's kind of nice to have an earring because that's an empty space on the one ear. So having something that you can see is kind of beautiful for that side view. And then I think, generally speaking, I feel like people stay with muted colors, but that's, not all weddings are white weddings, and not everyone likes, white diamonds and moonstones. Some people really want to wear color. So I don't say that I would discourage it. I feel like it would just sort of depend on that person's vibe and what the whole ceremony is like. If you're really feeling green and you have green as a part of your ceremony and it's something that you love, then like wear emeralds. Like they're amazing. They're so classy and so beautiful. But I think, it's more about the scale. I feel like if your dress is really simple, you can go much more decorative and bold with your jewelry. But if your dress is very decorative, maybe you keep the jewelry very petite and kind of, more of a compliment and less of a statement.
Great nugget of wisdom right there. I love that. Keep it simple. If your dress is a statement, especially and your flowers too, because you've got your dress, your flower, your veil, your jewelry, your makeup, your hair. You've just got all these things working together. And you don't maybe want one thing standing out, but if they all complement each other, then it just makes you look even better.
Exactly. I mean, a little jewelry goes a long way.
That's right.
Like I said before, the diamonds sparkle and jewelry makes you feel amazing. And I think it's sort of that idea that when you're wearing a piece of jewelry, it kind of gives you a certain feeling. And, like if you, to have someone with you, by having something that's an heirloom that's on you, or, just having something that, makes you feel special, like I think is great. It's kind of like an amulet.
Right.
Wonderful too. Yeah.
Have you heard about Zola? Zola is an online destination for your wedding registry and to create your wedding website.
As you've probably heard, Shannon and I have created both the registry and the wedding website. It's very user-friendly, very easy, tons of designs to choose from. You can make your whole wedding package cohesive by ordering everything from the invitations to the thank you notes.
You can also incorporate photos in your story about you and your significant other on your wedding website as well. And if you have everything that you need for your household, you can create a honeymoon fund for your wedding registry. They have airline gift cards, Airbnb gift cards, so you can get your whole honeymoon paid for that way if you want.
With the integrated registry and website, it's super simple for your guests to find everything they need to find out about your wedding and what to get you right in one spot.
So to start your free wedding website or registry on Zola, go to zola.com/FRTV.
That's Zola, ZOLA.com/FRTV. So I have to ask you, do you work with brooches at all?
I've made brooches, and I've made a diamond hair clip for one client. It was gorgeous.
I bet.
Yeah, I mean, the sky's the limit. Jewelry is so, it's so mutable. I mean, I think I even made a pendant that you could turn into a brooch that you could turn into a pendant and vice versa.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, there's a lot of antique jewelry like that. But yeah, you could do, and depending, like if you had a dress that you wanted to have a brooch for, or you could even potentially like make it so that you could pin it into your hair during the ceremony and then put the brooch onto your party dress afterwards.
Nice. Yeah, I like that idea. We don't use brooches hardly anymore. We need to start getting back into them.
I know. It was such a moment. I mean, in the Victorian era with like high collared dresses and shirts, it really gave you like the perfect spot to place like a brooch,
Mm-hmm.
You'd see like those old like lace high collared shirts with like a cameo or something.
Yeah.
We don't often wear them in this day and age. So yeah, it's true. It's a nice thing to bring back. It's something that you'd also like bring into your wardrobe after the ceremony as well, which I think is kind of cool. It could go on a lapel on a shirt or like a jacket or something.
What are some of your tips that you can share with us about choosing the perfect engagement ring?
Well, I think to start with, I would say that it's important to remember that there are no rules in love, and that any way that you do it is the perfect way for you to do it. I think the most often asked questions that we get are like, is it okay if the fiance to be is there when, you're looking at rings, or is it okay to ask her what she likes or to make sure of the ring size, or, does it have to be a total secret, or, there's so many of those, what if, or should I, or can I, or is it okay if, and I think it's great to just know that like everybody has their own way. It's such an amazing and important process, and it's a big moment in people's lives. So I think it's important, like if he or she who's proposing has a very clear picture in their mind of what that their true love wants, and they know that person's style, and they know that they maybe don't love diamonds and they want something, they want a sapphire, or there's all those little personal things. If they're feeling super confident that they're going to make the perfectly right decision, and then they just come directly to us and pick something out or have something made, that's amazing. And then there are other times where she might come in with her girlfriends or his sister or a friend that they have in common, and really just try everything on and say like, okay, I can narrow it down to 5 rings that I love the way they look on my hand, and I love these materials, and then he can decide like whichever one he would want to get me. I've narrowed it down a little bit. And then there are couples that come in together and go through the whole process of trying things on, picking things out, looking at loose diamonds, choosing the one they want, placing the order, and then they go away, and then maybe the ring gets shipped just to him, and she doesn't know exactly when it's going to arrive or exactly when he's going to pop the question, and and then it's still a surprise, but she was a part of the process.
I think that's really nice too.
Yeah, I think it's just the best for people to choose to do it in the way that they feel the most comfortable, and that the outcome is going to be the most like suited to them. And I feel like it's great that there's a little bit less, I guess, like cultural sort of strictness around that now. I think it would have been, and maybe it would have even been seen as bad luck or something. Like, you know, who knows? Like, there's so many weird superstitions, but it's like, you know, I think it's amazing if you're about to enter a committed life together where you're going to have joint bank accounts and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, why can't she be involved? Maybe she doesn't want you to buy the biggest diamond ever. She wants you to buy the littler one so you can get a house, you know?
Exactly.
Like, you know, you guys are really working on this. It's like you've probably been together for a while, or maybe not, but like, it's just like, if it feels right, do it. If it feels like you need a little help, or you want to have everyone participating, or, you know, whatever, it's like, it's up to you. So I think that's the number one thing, is just knowing that you can seek out the ring in whatever way feels best. And then from there, I think it's really helpful to try things on, and to try on a lot of things, to try on even styles that may not appeal to you when you look at them in the case, but to really put it on your hand and see how it changes. You know, it kind of can transform sometimes when you have it on. So I think that's really important as well.
That's true, because sometimes you see a dress and you're like, but then you try it on and you're like, well, this is pretty nice. So it's probably the same with rings. Now, is there let's say you have long, skinny fingers. Is there a type of ring or style of ring that usually looks best on long, skinny fingers? Or is it just a personal try it on and see if it looks good?
I feel like often when people have longer fingers, when they try things on, they want something that kind of fills up that space, you know, like they don't want something too dainty or too wide versus long, you know, like it's kind of, they have more room between the two knuckles. So maybe they want either to be able to stack multiple rings, or they want something that's a little longer. So, you know, they might go with like a 3-stone or an emerald cut, or something that kind of feels like it could be a little bigger. And definitely we make a lot of things that stack and nest, that kind of elongate the center stone too. So you can kind of build a ring set that kind of, you know, will add on to as well. And then I think sometimes people with shorter fingers, it looks nice sometimes to put a long stone on a shorter finger too, because it kind of adds the feeling of length. So ovals are like a really graceful stone for kind of a lengthening, like engagement ring shape. Ovals, and I guess emerald cuts, and even actually marquise. The marquise shape is kind of like shaped like an eye.
Right.
Usually you wear it long ways.
There are certain shapes that look better on certain types of fingers.
I think so. I mean, it's everything's up to personal.
Of course.
And I mean, I'd never want to say that I'm the authority on something that somebody would feel like their personal taste doesn't align to, because really, I mean, it's personal. You're wearing it every single day and probably for the rest of your life.
Right.
So if you don't like it, then that's quite all right. You know, you need to pick the thing that you love. If you've always wanted a marquee cut, or you've always wanted a round solitaire, or you've always wanted a 3-stone, or you've always wanted to just wear an eternity band and a plain band, then, you know, that's great. Not everybody even wants like a full proper like ring on a band kind of engagement ring.
That's true.
But there's a lot of different tricks in terms of like the design, you know, like if you have a smaller stone, if you put a halo around it, it kind of makes it feel bigger and more twinkly and more expansive. Or if you have an emerald cut, sometimes they're nice to put in a halo, because emerald cuts aren't naturally sparkly. They're really designed to show that the stone is perfect, that you can look all the way through it like a window and it's just perfectly clear. So they don't twinkle the way that most other stone cuts do. So adding a little bit of the pave or melee, which is the little stones around, kind of can add that sparkle that you're not getting from the stone. So there's like fun things that you learn about, again, when you're trying things on and you're seeing like, oh, I love this shape, but I don't like that it's not sparkly. And it's like, well, you just throw these on the side, boom.
Right.
You know, or you like put a bunch of these bands around it that like can complement the round shape, but give you like a little more length, you know, things like that.
Very cool. Well, it's so neat that you jewelry people know all these little tricks that you can help with. And I think that's where it's very beneficial for couples to talk with somebody when they're looking at rings so that they're very pleased with the rings, like you said, for maybe the rest of their life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that just kind of shows, we always talk about vendors and yes, not everybody can afford vendors, but if you can, they're so helpful in their specialties. Like the floral people, they know what floral will work and what won't work and what's a better purchase than the other. And therefore jewelry people like you who design all the time and know so much about all these different styles and all the different materials and what you might like best. I just think it's such a great idea to reach out to somebody. And if one of our listeners wants to reach out to you, where can they find you?
Well, we're on the web, and you can even book appointments to come in through our website, which is a recently added feature. And it's just my name. It's AnnaSheffield.com, AnnaSheffield.com. I guess you guys will have that somewhere.
Yeah, we will. We'll have it in the show notes for sure.
One of those long, complicated to spell, but simple sounding names. And then we also have a store in New York City, so you can visit us in the store there. And we have a store in Los Angeles. And each of those obviously have phone numbers, and you can email us through the site or contact us even through Instagram. We do a lot of communicating with people through DM on Instagram now, which is amazing because
that is.
See so much of what we do in one place, and just click a button and say, oh, I love this ring. What is this? What diamond is that? Like, how much is it? Can I get one of those? Was it custom? Like, how long does it take? All those good questions like we can answer so easily. So yeah, and we're reachable on 2 coasts and through the World Wide Web.
Awesome. Perfect. Is there anything else that you think you might want to share with our listeners?
I don't know. I guess I would just say that to have a beautiful rest of their day, whenever that day is and wherever they may be.
Thank you, Anna, so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. It's really wonderful to speak to you, and I'm so thrilled to have been a part of the podcast.
Well, thank you, Anna, so much for joining us. If you have thought about what am I going to do with this brooch that Aunt
Agnes
Hilda we got to find the oldest name that we can gave me, and I don't know what to do with it, find somebody to make something special from it. Sometimes you have an old piece of jewelry and you think, oh, this is just junk, but it's real. So get it checked out, firstly. Secondly, find somebody to help you create something new, something that you love, a hair comb, even a new necklace bauble, like a new ring even. I mean, just consider doing something like this. Don't just overlook it, because it could be something really special.
I really want to check out the black and gray diamonds. I think those would be cool. Yeah,
I do too. And it just makes sense. I mean, they start off black, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty cool. And I remember when onyx was so popular back when we were in high school. It would just be a step up from that, I think.
Yeah.
So hopefully you guys enjoyed this show. If you have any questions, please let us know. Email us, info@fromringtoveil.com. Message us on Facebook. Join our Facebook group, From Ring to Veil Wedding Planning Community. We're there. We answer questions. We are now going into the big engagement season. So I certain we're going to have a lot more people join us. So it'll be really, really fun when we have so many people in there asking questions every day and helping each other plan their weddings. It just makes me so happy to think we've got this community of people that are helping each other plan their weddings and making it the best day that they can make.
So all of you newly engaged couples, don't forget to check out our timelines and checklists that gives you all of this information. We help you plan it. It has budget sheets and lists that you can go check off and whatever you need to do, vendors to pick, when to pick them. So check out our timelines and checklists at fromringtoveil.com/checklist. Right now until the end of the year, it's $2.99. So check it out.
If you have not subscribed, subscribe to the podcast. We're everywhere. Google Podcasts, CastBox, Alexa, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Apple Podcasts. Hopefully we will be on Pandora soon. Going to be working on that. Don't forget, we are taking a break for the holidays, so there will be no shows between the middle of December to the middle of January.
Happy holidays!
Until next time, no stress, no worries. Keep calm and listen on. Music provided by bensound.com.